How many cups do you want, Paul?
Just 6 is fine.
Time together is time treasured for Megan and Colin. When the kids are here, this kitchen is a lot busier. Married 13 years this summer, their life has been filled with babies, birthdays, and lots of love and laughter. But between the mundane and the marvelous, a crisis that almost took it all away from them nearly 8 years ago.
I guess I just can't stress enough how lucky I feel. And to get to a place of being able to really talk about it took a lot of work, but I feel really, really lucky when I know things could have ended really differently.
In 2015, Megan and Colin were living in New York and welcomed their second baby girl.
You know, I had that kind of perspective that comes with the second baby. I was enjoying my maternity leave, had her on me, walking around Soho, just enjoying being a mother.
But things felt different, she says, after returning to work.
I just started to say that I didn't feel like myself.
That feeling, she says, persisted a few months until life as Megan knew it changed forever, from one day to the next.
I think just like how quickly it can happen and how real the thoughts are.
Over the course of a day, Megan descended into a frightening false reality, her mind deceiving her through delusions, hallucinations, and paranoia to believe everyone around her was trying to get her to join a cult.
It was like, oh my gosh, my whole life's been a sham. And then there's this moment where my friend, asked me, who's watching your kids? And I was like, oh, my husband, Colin, is with them. And at that moment, I was like, oh, she's threatening me. She's saying that my kids are going to be killed if I don't join this cult.
Megan even believed her husband was in on it. Keeping it all inside, her break from reality ultimately culminated the next morning with him calling the police.
I'm in the ambulance. I'm still believing that my kids are dying back in our apartment.
Megan spent 12 days at a psychiatric hospital, receiving treatment and beginning to understand how her thoughts had betrayed her and put her and her family in danger.
Had you even heard of postpartum psychosis before it happened to you?
No, I'd never heard of it.
And that's why Megan is sharing her story. I talked with her alongside University Hospital's maternal mental health psychiatrist, Dr. Susan Friedman.
I'm so happy that Megan shared her story because I hope that people can understand it better rather than this rare disorder, really understanding what can happen.
Postpartum psychosis is an emergency. It's the most severe mental illness a woman can experience after having a baby. It occurs in 1 to 2 per 1,000 deliveries, usually developing suddenly in the first few days or weeks, but can happen later. A history of bipolar disorder is a risk factor, but for other women like Megan, that's not the case. Genetics, hormones, sleep, and stress are believed to play a role, and educating women and doctors about what to look out for is critical to early intervention, treatment, and improved outcomes.
And it's so important to get help if someone experiences it because you can live a happy, full life.
Me and Mom to be this.
You want ours to be that one?
And that's what Megan is doing today. She and Colin moved back home to Northeast Ohio to heal from the trauma and better balance life. They also joyfully welcomed a third child under the care of Megan's medical team at UH, including Dr. Friedman.
If you could go back and intervene, is there a point where you would say, whoa, right here?
Yeah, I think it was those moments when I was saying, I don't feel like myself. It's like, stop, go see somebody, prioritize yourself.
It's the same message.
Yeah, I'm incredibly proud of her.
Colin has about the importance of a shared awareness among parents preparing for baby.
Just to really make sure that the moms in your life are getting the time and space to make sure that that their mental health is is really front and center.
Megan says surviving postpartum psychosis has changed her life's trajectory.
I think there's this real gap in supporting mothers and learning how to kind of mother themselves.
She's now working to fill that gap. She teaches mindfulness through yoga, writing, and coaching, focusing on the well-being of moms. And through her advocacy is helping break down the barriers and stigma that surround maternal mental health.
Now it feels okay to tell it because it feels healing. But in the beginning, it felt like I would never have any worth again.
I think you're very courageous to share your story.
Thanks.
So I want to say thank you.
It's really hard to be on the floor, and we're stronger than we think. And with support and resources, we can pick ourselves up.
We should do this more often, like a midday walk.
So while postpartum psychosis has been around for thousands of years, currently it is not listed as a diagnosis in the DSM, a classification of mental health disorders. I did reach out to the American Psychiatric Association, and they tell me a proposal to include it has been submitted and is currently being reviewed. The hope there, Dr. Friedman tells me, is that would improve education and the diagnosis, and as Megan adds, validate a woman's experience.
Katie, I'm so glad you did this story. We've been talking about this story. I couldn't wait for it to air because I had never heard of this. So bravery for Megan, and I appreciate you for putting it out there. Now let's talk postpartum psychosis and postpartum depression, two totally different things that moms need to be aware of.
And that's a good point because we're more familiar, right, with postpartum depression. They're not the same, and Dr. Friedman says they are often conflated, but postpartum depression, it is more common, but important to note that the onset of the symptoms and the treatment are different.
Okay, so we do have that number at the bottom of your screen right there, 1-8339-HELP for moms. That's the number to dial if you need some help right now. What else can you do, Katie, if you need help right now?
Yeah, and I also just want to say 1 in 5 women experiences some kind of postpartum mood or anxiety disorder. So you're not alone, okay? Call or text that number that Courtney just said that we have at the bottom of your screen. I will also post many more resources online in this story, important for moms, important too for their support systems, you know, like the dads and people around them as well, to know all of this and help identify and intercede should they need this kind of help. So look for it on the News 5 app and website.
Wonderful job, Katie. I can't wait to share that link on social media.
Grateful to Megan.
Thank
Dr. Friedman.
And improving maternal and infant outcomes is the focus of my ongoing series, Delivering Better Results. It's also where I explore what's being done here in Northeast Ohio to help improve those outcomes. You can check out my stories on our website, news5cleveland.com.